Hello, you are joining us from Vienna for the 20th anniversary for the International Hotel Technology Forum. It's all go as the business meetings are taking place here, as you can see behind me, and I'm joined by Ted Horner, who is the chair for the technology stream. Hi Ted, how are things going?
Fantastic. This is my 10th year moderating this event, and every year it gets stronger and better vendors, more hoteliers, and the fact that it's been going for 20 years is testament to the successful model that the guys at Arena have put together.
I mean, it's my second year, your 10th, their 20th. Definitely compared to last year, there is nearly twice as many sponsors and businesses involved in these business meetings with hoteliers. And I think over 400 delegates. So really demonstrates the power of an event like this. And we are going to be talking to some of the hoteliers and the presenters and the panelists that have been involved today. But what are sort of this year the trending topics that are really at the forefront of hoteliers' minds that you've been speaking to both today and over the last 12 months?
Oh, I think that COVID started it, but the continued contactless journey, the ability to communicate with guests before, during and after, and the associated technology that comes with it. Obviously, the hot new topic is ChatGPT. Everybody wants to know what it's all about. The rise of artificial intelligence, even as we've seen today, the first iterations of what robots are going to do. Obviously, the other area is technology and labour shortage. How are we going to be able to do more with less without sacrificing ultimately the service to the guests?
I mean, we've been talking a lot about the staff shortages and how that technology can really plug the gap here. And we've got a couple of robots actually running around, and hopefully we'll get one of them on camera at some point. I think they're taking a bit of a break by the looks of things. But there seems to be definitely a greater momentum now for the deployment of technology and how those digitalisation strategies are really building out, particularly across the global brands. When Accor today were talking about their digital keys and access points.
Well, I think the bottom line is after post-COVID, where a lot of investment in technology was either suspended or none at all. I think people are coming back out. Average daily rates are increasing, occupancy is increasing, and there's an element of optimism about the world, notwithstanding the Russian situation. But everywhere else in the world, we're starting to see a bigger IT spend. Hotel Lodging magazine reckons that this year will rise to 4% from 3% as a percentage of revenue investment in technology. So I think I think people are ready to investigate new areas. Obviously, address the staff shortage. How do we personalise the guest visit? How do we understand more? How do we mine that data? I know we've been talking about this for years, but I think we're finally, with artificial intelligence and the capacity of things like ChatGPT, I really think we can get to the core of it and start really getting to understanding what our individual guests need and then tailoring curated experiences for them.
And it's not just about the technology. Technology doesn't just solve the problems. It's the people. It's how you change that culture. And I think what we've recognized today is data is essential. Helping your teams understand that is incredibly important to deliver for the guests. But then it's that investment not just in technology, but it's in learning and development programs. It's within that training part.
Well, I think you're starting to see for the first time now, more during COVID, the industry started adjusting to remote installations. And an incredible part of that is now a lot of the vendors, either third parties or the PMS vendors, are now building e-learning capabilities, self-paced testing and you can't then move to become a qualified front office person unless you've passed the test and answered the question. So we are now starting to see that technology really kicking and using that technology for onboarding new employees because we have a high staff turnover. So I think that the whole educational investing in people to try and get them to stay with the hotel rather than move on is really coming to the fore.
I mean, we always see that in other businesses and other areas of industry, that the more you invest in your employees, the better return you're going to get. And I think for so long, the hospitality industry has benefited from the fact that people needed or wanted jobs, whereas obviously the pandemic force people to find jobs elsewhere.
Yes.
And so it's not a go-to place for jobs anymore. You need to really attract those people and as you say, sort of retain them. And the cost of staff is increasing, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
people expect to be paid more and get recognized. And to get the younger generation in, they need some sort of program to understand where their career or where their life is going as part of that company.
Well, I think last year I was at a conference in Miami, and the new CEO of Hyatt Hotels started talking about the recruitment of people. And he said now younger millennials today are going to say to me, hey, I've got 3 kids to pick up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've got a gym class in the morning. And we, for the first time, if we want to attract those people back to us, we have to have flexible recruitment policies to allow people to work from home or work the hours that prefer them. And if we don't do that, we just won't get those people back, because other industries are already doing it. You know, some industries now are working 4-day weeks. So we as an industry, to get the right people, have to be more flexible in our hiring processes to allow people to have the lifestyle they wish.
Absolutely. Ted, thank you ever so much for joining us on this live broadcast. Really appreciate it, and great job with the chairing at the event here today.
Thanks so much.
Right, so we're here until tomorrow. It's a 3-day event with one-to-one hosted buyer meetings. So we've got a load of sponsors here, as you can see just behind me. Now, this is part of Travel Market Life. Thanks for tuning in. You can check out some of the podcasts and some of the interviews that we've already had with some of the hoteliers and some of the sponsors across some of the podcast channels. But we have got hoteliers here today, and we've got a number of technology companies that we're going to be speaking to. First up, from Eco Hotels, we have Patricia Plesner. Thank you, Patricia, for joining us today. So you joined us on a panel discussion earlier, really looking at sort of the guest communication strategies, and what were the key takeout points that we can see from sort of addressing communication with guests today?
That it really makes sense to start collecting data and doing it right. So from the first time a person enters your website, make sure you collect all the data you actually can and that you're allowed to, and then making sure that you're using it smart. So you can have a lot of data, but you also need to structure the data. You need to know how to make the different flows, how to make the different integrations, and so forth.
And it's going to be helpful to help your team really understand the value of that data, and it helps them in their role to also drive those commercial success for the business. I mean, for Eco Hotels, obviously that data is so important for you guys. Do you want to give us a bit of a detail about who Eco Hotels is and the type of properties that you represent?
Yes, of course. So we started ecohotels.com 3 years ago now, and it's an OTA, a booking site, but only for eco-certified sustainable hotels. So we only accept the hotels that have a reliable certification. We primarily decided to work with GSTC, Global Sustainability Tourism Council, and the certifications that they acknowledge or recognize, we take into our system. So every time a hotel applies, and we get a bunch because our commission is only 10%. So we have a lot of applications from hotels, and then we allow them on our website, and then we help them to be showcased in our community of eco-travelers.
Now, you're here at this event. What's so valuable for you to come to the IHTF?
Besides a few more hotels wishing to sign up, which is also and always very great, I think it's nice to see and hear about the different projects and companies that are starting to arise. So we of course have a lot of AI, which is like the key term that we're all hearing so much about. And it's fun to see how it's used both in an operational level of the hotels. We had the panel discussion with Poly AI, which is quite a fascinating company. And then also just how people are using it, collecting it.
And is there any sort of case study or presentation that has really stayed in your minds since we've been here yesterday?
Yes, I know a guy called Chris did a presentation on OTAs and how to work with them, not against them.
Chris Bowling from Best Western. Yes, we actually had a conversation as part of our podcast. So you can listen to that if you want to and find out a bit more about it. But it was fascinating how they've used that data, isn't it?
Very fascinating. And what we really want to do is actually hand over a lot of the data to the hotels we have a direct connection with. Because we continue to grow in the eco community, because we can service them with experiences in the cities they're staying at, restaurants nearby, if they're vegan, if they're vegetarian, if they have children who are traveling with them, but actually also helping the hotel. So as soon as someone makes a booking, we hand it over to the hotel, and the hotel has the opportunity to upsell or to prolong the stay or to add on another breakfast or spa retreat.
I mean, that's it. I mean, once people have made a booking, they're your captive audience at that point. And there are so many ways as well to get new customers in, as you say, by
Exactly.
identifying what their particular interest is. And I've obviously talked today about the role of Netflix and Spotify in our lives,
Yeah,
sort
they're
of
doing great.
recommendations and how you can bring that
Yeah.
into hospitality. Thank you ever so much, Patricia, for joining us. Wonderful to see you, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon and exploring a bit more about
Likewise.
eco-hotels.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Okay, so yeah, we've got a lineup of people here. Joining me next is Michele Rubel from Peak Work. Now, we are also on the same discussion there with Patricia. Now, you're particularly looking at sort of like this advancement within technology around Web3. What is going to be essential for the hospitality and the travel industry for data purpose to really capitalize on that evolution of the internet?
So what I believe is actually that is, I mean, everybody says the hospitality industry is ripe for disruption since a while ago now. I do believe there are a few market conditions now that are actually coinciding in having this, momentum building up and having disruption about to happen. So whatever happens in finance, where, I mean, sadly it's in the news, right? The stuff is going on with the banks, etc., calls for a renovation of the model. In finance is DeFi, right? All these new things around new asset classes, etc. I believe the asset class, and it's not me saying it, it's just a fact, the asset class of hospitality and the travel industry in general is the traveler profile. So how do we, as an industry, share that asset with GDPR and privacy, compliancy and all that stuff. And also technology around cookies, for example, is changing a lot. So now browsers don't accept third-party cookies anymore. So how do you follow the customer during their online digital customer journey? So the solution here is an inversion of paradigm where there's no discussion about who owns the traveler. The traveler owns herself. So you as a traveler would have then a wallet and would deploy that wallet on every touch point, either to operating website and maybe an OTA website to start the journey, and then of course at the hotel. So the hotel doesn't need to have a direct sale, or better if it has a direct sale, but can also has a deep inside view of that anonymous customer coming from a tour operator and start offering a personalized offer at their first stay. So the holy grail here is hyper-personalization at first stay. You need that. You need that because loyalty, let's face it, doesn't really work for hospitality. Repetition is not there, frequency is not there. I don't have to tell you, right? It's like, that's the thing. So how do you get that guest, that data that you need for that guest at first day? And I believe Web3 is one of the technologies possible. And again, the market is there to embrace it.
I mean, yeah, we obviously it's being mentioned more and more and more over the last 12 months. But tell us about Peak Work and your work in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, so Peak Work traditionally, I mean, is born in 2009 as serving the tour operators, basically in DACH, now Benelux, Southern Europe, etc. So we basically connect the dots among distribution and supply. Supply for now has been the intermediation. So we go down to the bed banks, and we believe there's now a space to go to hotels as well, right? So, but hotels do need something completely different. First of all, there's a lot of hotels in the world, a few intermediations. So what was helping distribution is to go to intermediator, to have a few parties to trade with and to settle and to, at the end of the month, get invoices from. But if you go one step down, you have now this plethora of suppliers. And as Peak Work is able to do, you have also a plethora of travel agencies, for example. So how do you go there? And the solution is, again, Web3. As in, you don't need, as a hotel, to have thousands of contracts with travel agencies, or vice versa. You don't need, as a travel agency, to have all contracts with the hotels. You sit in the middle, and a blockchain is that settlement layer that enables that kind of settlement at the end of the month. Say, for example, there's one use case. The hotel could have their ancillary sold upstream until even the travel agency or the end customer as a first-party ancillary product, a tour and a destination, a champagne in the room, the proverbial late checkout. You could actually distribute that without having an agreement with the travel agency, or vice versa. You could source from around the resort the bike store next door, the individual tour guide that wants to sell a tour in destination without settlement problems, because then at the end, you're giving money in the wallet of that supplier. Now, we're not talking crypto here. Money is euro or USD. Then, of course, this infrastructure opens also the way, if there is a market eventually, to that new demographic that is maybe willing to pay in Bitcoin or to, be paying in Bitcoin. But that's not what we're after. I mean, we don't want to scare the industry or anything. We use the blockchain as that transactional fabric to have all these entities or organizations to transact with each other, where there is an atomicity, I'm sorry about the bad word, between the touristic transaction as the PNR or the booking reference and the payment. So as a tour operator or as a hotel, you never will have a payment that you don't know what booking is for, or vice versa, a booking without payment anymore. That goes together on blockchain. So that's basically a very game changer technically and also business model wise.
Absolutely fascinating. I mean, obviously, there's a lot still of testing and model building for the blockchain within hospitality, but it's something that obviously needs to be part of that wider strategy as we're seeing hotels starting to tokenize aspects of their services and their products. Michele, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to speak to you today. Okay, so we're going to be joined now by I've got someone who's going to be coming to join me. Thank you very much, Marcus Mueller from Galvindi. We were also on a panel discussion today. I mean, what are the key things that you're taking away from this particular event at the moment?
Well, I think first thing is I'm not alone. The cool thing is, we're all struggling with the same problems. It's all easy to talk, but it's more difficult to actually execute that.
I mean, absolutely. I think some of the uphill struggle when you speak to some of the hoteliers that have been here for, they've been in their role for 5, 10, 15 years. It's those strategies, the blueprints have sort of been there, but there's this greater urgency now in order to get that technology in place. And obviously, once they've had those pilots, it then takes a while to really identify how you get that out at scale. I think Accor, we're talking about their digital key cards. 2% of their entire portfolio currently has those. They've been working on that for a number of years, and it's a matter of how do you sort of increase the speed at which to get that technology out.
Well, it's obviously if the pain points get stronger, like we had with the stuffing situation, then all of a sudden it moves, and I think that's the only way it moves. So yes, if there's no sales, if the hotels are empty, there's going to be some pain points because we're going to fill hotels. We need to get some automation going. We need to improve margins. We need to, substitute missing employees. Automation is a key word there. So I think it's all about the pain points which drive speed in that sense, or competition, right?
I mean, yeah, speed to market, speed to change. We've seen so many changes recently, and you need to adapt to that whether it's like new events or maybe it's changes in the economy or the way that travel trends are changing. As a hotel, you need to be able to adapt quite quickly and quite fast to that. Tell us about Galvindi, please.
Well, what we do is obviously we manage the way how we sell experiences. I mean, obviously, when you think about what our hotels or accommodation providers are selling, right? They want to sell an experience, but they actually don't sell an experience. They sell room categories and then auxiliaries on top. And that's really not the definition of an experience for me. So we consider that a little bit different. We think about an experience there's multiple dimension to an experience. I mean, there's a network dimension, for example. If I'm going for a trip on a holiday, then I have multiple touch points. It's a network's perspective. And, the hotel plays some role in my trip. The room plays some role in my trip, maybe the spa and so on and so forth. These are the touch points. But there's other dimensions we consider, like the relational dimension, with whom am I traveling, what's the service like, interaction, the physical dimension, how does it look like, what do I smell, taste, see, or a narrative dimension in terms of, what have I heard about that story or this story, and I'm crafting expectations. And what we do in Galvindi is we have a platform which manages experiences, starting with the room experience, which enables hoteliers to really sell experiences, meaning they could say, okay, I'm coming with my family, with kid. I need rooms next to each other. I want to have the corner, I want access to the terrace, and I want certain auxiliaries on top. That's what we do. And we basically resolve the disconnect between the websites of what accommodation providers want to sell and the actual purchase experience. And that's only possible if you change the way you manage data experiences, and we're building products on that platform. So that's what we do. It was a long answer to that, but it's about selling experiences and building travel brands or accommodation brands.
And that's the thing, consumers are looking for that deeper connection often with brands. Marcus, thank you ever so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and for you to join us on the panel today. So we're here at IHTF 2023. Thank you. And we're going to be back with you just after this short message from Travel Market Life.
Let technology assist or take away the large chunk of that, and we go towards true customer service and guest service. And without repeating that point,
it's so hard when we are really, really busy during the summer month to always check the rates and occupancy and prices and everything.
Everybody knows everybody in this industry, so it's really easy to get to find out how existing clients of those companies are being looked after.
Digital transformation can be understood as an organizational change process where digital technologies are used to radically change how a company creates value.
You can change your PMS, you can change your distribution, you can change your marketing strategy. You can do all these different things behind the scenes without affecting at all this experience, and by actually freeing up more time for your staff.
Hello, welcome back to the IHTF 2023 here in Vienna. So this is our live broadcast. As you can see behind us is all the business meetings. I'm joined at the moment by Dario Artiola from Radisson.
Thank you.
Have you been here? Have you been in this hot seat?
Yes.
What was the experience like?
It was good. A lot of new people to meet, and also some old colleagues, from past experience. It was nice. You can always, get more ideas, get something new that you might bring also into your business, into your daily task, for example. So it's interesting.
Is this your first time with IHTF?
No, I've been last year also in Madrid, actually, where I'm based. So it was a great opportunity. I played home, right? And it was already good to meet some of the partners that now we started to work also. So I think these kind of events, are good, to get some relationship, face-to-face interaction with people that you want to interact and you will get some business with. So good. So,
excellent. I mean, it is 3 days of great networking.
Yes.
I mean, not just the business meetings, but we've got the lunches and the coffee breaks.
Yes.
But then we had dinner last night, and we've got another dinner tonight, and it was just so much high energy in the room, wasn't there? It was just wonderful just to feel that you could just relax and have in-depth conversations with people and find those connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And I must say that even during the panel discussions, there was a lot of people in the audience. The interaction was also good. You see that people were even asking questions about how you're gonna do in certain aspects. So there's a lot of curiosity, and this is the base to have this kind of events moving on, right? The people are really curious. They want to know more. That's why we are here.
Yeah, absolutely. You work on the revenue side within Radisson. What have been the key things that you've been working on over the last 12 months, and any particular systems, type of systems that have been really integral for you to help achieve that change or drive that strategy forward?
Yeah, well, I would say that in my special case, I'm involved a lot in business intelligence. So we have built internally Radisson a platform, which is gathering all the information from many systems, and the main purpose also of that is to get in our company all the departments, let's say all the employees, aware about the data, aware about certain targets, about KPIs, to make everyone a bit more conscious about what the chain is going, right, which direction. So I would say that in the last couple of years, actually not 12 months, I've been really involved, in developing, let's say, this application, which has been then useful, to get to a certain level. And of course, the biggest complexity is connectivity, right? Because you need to connect many partners and channels, and of course, then gets a bit of technical aspects, which of course are always difficult, but in a way we made it through, so that's good.
I mean, yeah, obviously getting those integrations in place and making sure that you have that live data so that you can actually see. But interesting, you're talking about those KPIs and helping your entire hotel staff and team understand what the company's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
How are they embracing that? And, how are they sort of, are you seeing a different approach to sort of how they're trying to implement their day-to-day jobs?
Well, I mean, we start with the basic also in that, anything you cannot track, it's useless, right? So if we're trying, to embrace our vision, our revenue mind, also into other departments, but also, into the hotel, into the operation. they need to be aware that everything they are doing, the single maybe upselling or maybe cross-selling of a product in the room, and the end has an impact, as an higher ROI in the hotel, and the money that they might sell goes directly into the GOP. So all these KPIs and all this information are definitely interesting for them once they know, and they are more like aware. So even during monthly meetings, with the GM, they can also be curious, and then curiosity, it drives also engagement, and with the engagement, also better performance.
Fascinating. I mean, that's the thing. You need drive, you need ambition, but passion at
Absolutely,
the same time.
absolutely.
And it's certainly from a lot of the revenue and commercial directors here at IHTF, there is so much passion amongst you guys.
Yes.
And it's lovely to see, because revenue management is sort of like been a new thing that's grown over the last 15, 20 years, but now you're sort of leading the businesses in many ways, and trying to bring so many departments together to really understand the contribution that they make to revenue, but also cost savings. So there's so many dynamics to it.
Yeah, I think you said something absolutely right. I mean, revenue at the moment, it's kind of leading in a way of setting the strategy. It's just to give to the other departments also like a way of reading the business and the trends in a way that maybe before was not so clear. So I don't want to say revenue is the leader in the commercial departments, because we are all together, especially in Radisson. We really work as a team, and we are just guiding the strategy, just pointing out where to go, in which way. But as you said also, it's a lot about cost saving, right? So revenue manager, of course, is more focused on the top line of the P&L, of the profit and loss, but of course it's just giving an eye also on what are the components that are also moving, in the end, what brings the money into the bank account, right? So I think we are still a lot of things to explore, but the way we can also get the data and the easiness to get this data is going to make things definitely more easier for the future.
Absolutely. Dario, I want to continue this conversation. Unfortunately, obviously, we've got a whole line of people now behind us.
Thank you so much.
But I'd like you to be part of our Hoteliers Voice Season 3, if you would be happy to join us.
Absolutely, I will be happy.
And as I do that link with Hoteliers Voice, I'm going to bring in one of the guests from Season 2. So, Dario, thank you.
Thank you.
So here we have George Garg from My Next, who was part of our Season 2 Hoteliers Voice. Now, you're actually based here in Vienna, so it's great to see that you've been able to come along. What have been the key learnings for you so far from IHTF?
Thanks for having me, Ryan. So we've listened to quite some interesting discussions, and I also got to know some new vendors, like IPTV providers, which is a little bit of a new world to me. But also I learned of a company that offers a housekeeping app, Sweeply. Then I knew that Assa Abloy and Salto is working with Apple on providing digital room keys within Apple Wallet. And here I learned that Dormakaba is also partnering with Apple. And I think this will bring a big change to the industry. There's a little downside to it, which I also learned here. So Apple will charge quite an amount for...
It was expensive, wasn't it? I think it's like 40 cents per booking or per room or something.
Per room key. So that's quite an amount. But let's see how that develops.
I mean, we need absolutely those relationships with the big technology providers to also invest in the hospitality industry, because it's such a vast industry. And you've really invested in technology at My Next to bring a lot of automation to the hotel, and also to help your staff with onboarding and training. It's something that we covered in our podcast, which can be found on all regular podcast channels on Travel Market Life. So just tell us about some of the ways and some of the technologies that's been integral for you to really sufficiently run your business, especially such a seasonal limited service hotel like My Next.
Yeah, so I think we have quite a good tech stack, and automation definitely plays a huge role within My Next. So for sure we have automated all the payments and all the bookings. But for instance, regarding recruiting, because we need to recruit quite some receptionists each year for the season, we have partly automated the recruiting process. So we are working with an applicant tracking system, and to get to know the people a little bit better. we have automated video interviews before we speak to them in person. So that helps us a lot. And we have some smaller automations that I really like. For instance, that it's possible for guests to fully, so we fully automated the parking slot and baby cot reservations. So most guests contact us via booking.com, to be honest. And so when they ask for parking, for instance, an automated message is triggered to them with a booking link and with all the information that they need. For instance, we have limited car height. And so the guests can really see if parking slots are available and sees the price, and then also the payment is fully automated. And the same applies for baby cots. So I think not so many hotels have that in place.
I must say, it's something you wouldn't necessarily put at the forefront of your mind when thinking about your technology plans. But if you're identifying the constant requests that you've got and a way to make that more easier for your staff and for your processes, then it's obviously a great solution. And really helps you in your time, and I guess also with the staff training side of things, because you don't have to worry about that aspect of the business.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. George, thank you ever so much. It's been wonderful to speak to you again and have you here at the IHTF. Have you got more business meetings? Are you heading off to any particular presentations that you've got your eye on, or any key themes you're looking to explore any more whilst you're here?
Now I will first have lunch, and then I'll join the next panels. And I have 2 more meetings for today and also for tomorrow.
Excellent. Well, good luck with those. I hope they all go well. It's great to see you again.
Thanks, Ryan.
Right. Okay. So on our next guest that we've got coming up here, we've got as he's shaking himself about as he comes and joins me here, Sandro Cristofori from Revenate. Now, we were on our panel discussion earlier again, looking at sort of like guest communications and the importance there. You really sit on a hotbed of data, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. I think like all the hoteliers are actually sitting on the mountain of data. So we are just helping to access that data and to sort it, to clean it, and to work with it. But it's the hoteliers. We are the data processor, not the data owner.
So tell us about Revenate, please.
Yeah. So at Revenate, we have different kind of solutions for guest communication. It starts with our CRM. Well, or go backwards, like actually we come from a reputation and feedback management background. So it's one of our solutions. And then we have a CRM tool for email marketing communications, as well as an artificial intelligence messaging tool for SMS and WhatsApp messages. So whatever communication you want to send on whatever channel during the guest journey, we help hoteliers and support them with this.
Excellent. And where are you? What's your sort of footprint globally at the moment? Where can we find you?
So we have around 12,000 customers worldwide. We started in 2009. We are from San Francisco. Our office here in Europe is in Amsterdam. We have obviously also support our teams all over remotely. We are really strong in the US, Europe, Middle East, but we're a global company and we have global customers. And we work from big companies like leading hotels of the world or IHG down to single properties with just 20 rooms. Here in Austria, for example, with IP Hotels, there's a beautiful little group of 5 properties, very small, unique. So we support the small individual properties as well as the big global chains and groups.
Now, I mean, choosing to an event like this, a hosted buyer event, where do you see that value? Why is it important for you to attend the IHTF compared to many maybe other conferences or trade shows?
Well, it's very focused on the technology part, like the name already says, International Hotel Technology Forum. And it's a good match. Like you said, it's a buyer-seller event. So we know already before what we want to talk about. And it's less effort for us when it comes to the educational part. Compared to events like ITB in Berlin 2 weeks ago, there's a lot of business there. There's MICE event, hotels are selling their properties. So it's a huge event. And, you have to find the right people in all this big, huge jungle to meet with them and to find the booth. Where here, it's very structured, very organized. And you can directly jump into the conversations in the meetings we are having in 30 minutes. you can directly jump in on a more deeper level, let's say, and start the conversation instead of starting with the basics.
I mean, that's the thing, because you know what their budget is. You know that you're speaking to the budget holder most of the time, or the person who's really influencing that.
Yeah.
And so you're able to have those proper deep conversations and understand where do you fit. And if not, really have the opportunity to educate and inform the products and the value that you add.
Correct. So we know there's a certain matching, swipe left or right for what you want to go for. There's a certain matching before, so we know, okay, this is what they're looking for. This is the IT stack we have in place, which is really important because there's a certain given situation and it has to fit. Yeah, we all know that interfaces or the fragmented hospitality tech world is a challenge. So that's given, and we can see already before, okay, is it a match or not? Next, in the conversation itself, how we run the meetings here is that we go deeper and analyze the status quo, more about the needs, the challenges. What do you want to achieve? What's your ideal scenario? What's the outcome you want to have? And after this first analyzation, that we can really say afterwards, hey, that could work in between us. Everything else we follow up after the event, and then we dive deeper into demos and the product itself, and analyzing it and take it from there.
It's relationship building, isn't it? That's essential, because at the end of the day, you're going to be you're going to be partners, and as a vendor, you really need to understand what their aim is, what their goal is, and how you can support them to be effective.
Correct. And I mean, we are a solution seller, like the name says, like software as a service. So I'm not selling you a second-hand car and you drive around the corner, it falls in pieces. It's a contract, it's a relationship. And ideally, we want to work together 10 years or 20 years or forever. So it really needs to fit for both sides, that you later have that great relationship. Same like for a couple, like if you want to have a great relationship, you can fake something, you can make things up, but over the long term, it's not going to work. And for us as a company, if we promise something that doesn't work out, it just backfires to the company. And it will start that the implementation team will suffer on both sides. Customers, hoteliers are frustrated, and so on and so on. So our CEO, Mark, he always says, under promise and over deliver. And I really like that. And that's our motto, and that's how we work.
Lovely. That's wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, just really understanding, that relationship between the hotel and the technology company, or a buyer and a seller. Why are you there? What's the purpose? What are you trying to achieve? Really hearing the truth and the honest part is really essential if you're going to be a successful buyer and a successful seller, right?
Correct. And sometimes I actually don't like the word seller. I see myself more as a consultant.
Yep.
Because that's what it is about. So if I do a good consultancy job, then the sales comes automatically afterwards.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We'll be back
you very much.
Just after this short message.
While also making use of the other tools that are out there in the market, I think gives us a quite nice insight on what has worked, what didn't work, where we invested maybe too much time.
We hear all the time is, there's a lot of solutions out there, but can they seamlessly connect into all of the tech stack that we have today? And with the technology,
increased use of technology, labor shortages, and focusing on D2C. Actually, the increased use of the technology is related to labor shortages.
It's also challenging, to meet guest expectations with limited resources, staff shortage, and to be honest, to recruit IT teams to hospitality right now.
The main success we've had with our board is very much taking them on the journey with you, informing them at the early stages about what you're going to investigate and what you're looking at before just kind of coming out of nowhere.
Web progressive app where the guest who doesn't want to download an app can use this, and where the loyal member who wants to use digital key, who wants to benefit from the full features.
It's not just only a matter of the room anymore. It's not just only a matter of the location. It's a matter of taking advantage and enjoying each of the days.
Booking those services today requires excessive manual work in many situations. So you have to communicate with the supplier or vendor.
Hello, I'm Carsten Vernet from Seahood. We were just talking about ailments of travel and conferences, air-conditioned rooms. The joy of corporate business and event travel is back, isn't it?
Yes, that's definitely is the case. I mean, last year we had already been a bit of travel and we saw each other in Madrid, but definitely now travel is back as it was before. Like at least it feels like it.
I mean, as a vendor, you're having to travel, you're going to all these events. Do you feel that you and your team have now got into that rhythm, and how different does it feel to perhaps a pre-pandemic? Are you investing as much or as many people in travel? Is there been a change in the focus in what's important for your business?
I think it's different. We have been traveling a lot always before and afterwards. But the demand from the market has actually changed. While we now do a lot of online training and remote sessions for some of the operations sort of things, we are traveling still much more now to the tech conference and things like that. Because again, like I was saying before, the industry really picked up on some of the lacking behind through other industries in terms of digitalization. And look at that event here, how much it grew from last year, that it can tell really the momentum is now there, that a lot of companies are investing in technology, and also like much more technology companies spread out everywhere that try to help the hospitality industry to solve the problems.
Now, last year we talked about payments. That was a big focus, and obviously that's ongoing. But this year, there's really that focus on delivering that digital guest journey and that digital guest check-in.
Yes, I totally agree. While frictionless payments were the big thing last year and how to get all this done, it's like frictionless getting to the room, isn't it? So it's starting with the digital guest check-in, and also the data quality that comes within the whole journey. But then also the mobile key is a big thing that everyone is saying. Like we heard this morning in the session, digital keys are around in the room more for 15 years now in the industry, but are they solved? I mean, we have opening rates of 15 to 20% by the usage, but also when you talk to other players in the market, some of the existing technology in there only have an opening rate of 80%. So imagine that you want to use mobile key and the door is just not opening. So there are still a lot of things to be resolved. And as you can see with the players here and the talks in the conference, there is some momentum, and I think we will get now to better solutions.
Yes, obviously there is that more integrations, that greater simplicity, that you don't need such complex solutions. It just needs to be quite simple, but there's that investment that continually needs to be done. And I think some are looking at, do they put in the digital kiosks and the digital check-in first, or do they replace their biggest, their larger systems, the property management systems and etc., in order to facilitate all of that?
Well, I think you need to do both. I mean, you can't just expect that everyone wants to check in on the kiosk or wants to use the mobile phone. And if you're looking into the solutions in the market, that not only includes ours, they can play very well together with each other. So give the customer the choice and have the fallback plan. And this is like also the thing that we facilitate with our kiosk solution, that you have the possibility to receive a hard key or at the kiosk or even after check-in, because your phone is dead or some other things from the technology are not working, and you need to have a fallback plan. So that's why I totally believe you need to invest in both, and you need to look into how you combine these things together and how it meets your special demands of the guests.
Okay, so for all our audience, tell us about Seehut and some of the developments in the tech or the focus that you're going to be working on within your platform.
Well, we have so many strengths now. I mean, really, like if you're looking into it, like and still name us a PMS vendor, I don't know if this is true anymore. And we have been told by a large customer, I think 5 years ago, when we have been presenting and looking into strategy with building our own cloud and all the kind of things, that he named us already so much more than a PMS vendor. And I think that's even now more true than before, because while we do booking engine for more than 20 years now and PMS for over 30 years, we are even a POS provider for 15 years. And we also just enhance our portfolio in that space with a new subsidiary. And so it's hard to tell, but digital guest journey is definitely part of it, with the integration of everything working seamlessly together, or having the right access points and integration points for partners to just plug into our ecosystem.
It certainly feels like you've been accelerating over the last year. A couple of offices opened and people positioned in specific territories to help you with your customers, both support and sales side, as well as you say, the integration and acquisition of a POS. So it really adds to that portfolio. So as you say, for hotels that are looking for that solution where they can add and plug in things quite quickly, I guess CHUT's is an easy solution to be able to switch things and additional modules on.
Yes, definitely. Because I mean, first, yes, we are cloud driven. Do you have to do cloud? Well, there's still a bit of a choice that you can have depending on the market or just the local situation where you are. And we had just last night at the dinner party again a conversation where people were just living in areas that don't have stable internet. So you need to find solutions, and you need to have a backup plan for that. And we plug into all of these scenarios quite easily and quite fast, but definitely the fastest way home is just using CHUT Cloud and have your integrations point into that and then explore from there. And you're right with the local offices. Our strategy is still you need to go to the customer, because PMS in the end is still a hard thing to do, and you need to look after your staff. Support is always a big factor, and that's why we have now 11 offices around the globe.
Congratulations. That's quite an achievement, particularly during the pandemic, etc. Thank you ever so much, Carsten, for joining me today. Pleasure to speak to you again.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Next, we have one of our presenters, Pier Giorgio. I've got to get his last name right. It's Skiru, that's right, from Blasters. Thank you very much indeed. Do our best. We do our best. So you had a really interesting presentation talking all about Google. Sometimes the basics just aren't done right, are they?
No, it's the most typical thing. It's the most typical thing. Yes, you're right.
And there's a huge amount of revenue that can be earned still from Google.
Exactly. That is the point. Because many times, I say, sometimes you should go back to basics because we want to do complex things, but many things are wrong from the base, from the strategy. In fact, the important thing that I was saying today in the 3 steps is how you should start to create a right feel to work with Google. And work with Google today, what does it mean? It means in a world where there is a lot of revenue opportunities, having an eye also on direct bookings. And today, to push direct bookings, if you don't use the tools of Google, you are not catching all the opportunities at all.
I mean, it is fascinating that, when you do look at a business listing on Google, that half the information can be missing to begin with. Secondly,
I like you, Ryan.
It's missing. I mean, I don't really understand. Yeah. I mean, I embarrassingly looked at my own Google last year, and I was like, I need to sort that out, and we did. Then it's the rates, because the rates do come up, and it shows you across other OTAs and meta search engines, etc. And you notice that there's a huge valuable driver for direct bookings. And I had an interview with the Red Carnation collection of hotels, and they are earning huge amounts of money from really sort of massaging Google meta search and making sure they got their rate parity in place. But then there's the opportunities of driving traffic and through actual Google advertising at the same time.
Yeah, it's a tremendous thing, and I totally feel in what you're saying, because first point, many times the profile is not even, let's say, doesn't even have the basic information. And coming also to the pricing point, the real different thing of Google is that if you cannot choose to don't be there, because your profile is there and your rates are there with third parties. So it's even more worse if you choose to don't be actively present, because somebody else is there for you. And that is a big opportunity that many hotels are missing. But I also understand in part where the hotels have difficulty, because Google actually, which is a very big company, doesn't really give a big support, or I would say gives zero support. If I compare it to Booking.com or Expedia, that they have massive in the customer care to the clients. They're always calling or explaining how the hotel can improve the performance. You will never receive a call from Google. But because Google's strategy is to work with partners like a Blastness, that then can help the hotel because they get the know-how to how to set it. And I think that the real game changer that started in this year, but it's going to be, is really Google Travel for the direct bookings. Because once you have all the advertising you want, but you're not setting the point on prices. But when you have the opportunity to show your prices, there you can even jump the information and jump directly to the conversion. And inside there, there's a full rack of technicalities that you can take advantage of, but you really have to know how to manipulate, I will say, this instrument.
I know that this is a deeper conversation than for right now. So we are going to be doing
forever.
Well, I hope it won't take forever, but we will definitely have a follow-up conversation.
Sure.
We'll get him onto the podcast to really more explore Google.
I will love it.
And really understand what are the tricks and tips that hotels can use to elevate their position and really drive that direct traffic.
It's a deal, Ryan.
Okay.
We have a deal.
We're in there. That sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful to see you. Thank you ever so much for such an engaging and informative and educational presentation. It was fascinating.
Thank you again.
Have
See
a
you
lovely
soon.
day. Enjoy. Thank
Ciao.
you. Right. This is our last guest. We are going to tie up for lunch. I think we're all getting a little bit hungry, aren't we, Raymond?
We do, definitely.
So thanks for joining us. You're from Preferred Hotels and Resorts. What has been some of the key takeaways and key themes for you over the last day or two here at IHTF?
Well, I think it's the most important thing that our industry definitely needs technology improvement. So we have to deeply look into this because we are a slow-moving industry. So this is something we definitely look in. But on the other side, we are as hoteliers sometimes overwhelmed by the bandwidth of opportunities which are out there. So we have to focus and we have to figure out by, I would say, implementing a technology strategy, which kind of technology should be used and should be implemented in the future.
I mean, it is understanding what that strategy is and then how it feeds into the brand and how you develop the cultural investment from the team and from the rest of the staff at the same time. Tell us about Preferred Hotels and Resorts and how you support the hoteliers to sort of like drive those digitalization strategies forward.
Well, I mean, it's especially for Preferred Hotels and Resorts, it's a question of unlocking the data, using customer loyalty informations to customize, to really target them. From this perspective, having a very solid business intelligence tool in the back, this helps then guiding and providing good recommendations to the member hotels to achieve a healthy business mix, a healthy channel mix, geographical mix, a lot of things which feed into this, as especially the properties are really interested in this getting or improving direct business, which then requires an overall strategy and a lot of technology as well, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of data.
I mean, that, as you say, we've had a couple of conversations about that, getting that data, visualizing that data, helping your staff really understand that data and the commercial opportunities there and why that's important for the hotel property or the hotel brand. What key theme do you what do you think is going to be the key focus for the coming year? Hospitality needs to be thinking about in order to be more effective in developing the tech stacks or better understanding data.
I think the most important thing for the future for the next couple of years is really to have a solid technology improvement. Really focus on not to do or not to maintain any manual task anymore. Really rely on automation and digitalization, which allows them to drive the stuff, the resources towards what we are doing in hospitality, looking at the guests and driving revenues on the other side while being and serving at the guests. So this is something which will be important for future.
Excellent. Absolutely, I agree. Well, thank you ever so much, Raymond. It was great that you were able to join me now, and obviously also on our panel discussion earlier, which was incredibly thought provoking. I think for some of the comments that
was
that were
amazing
written.
indeed. Yeah, it was vibrant and was a very good exchange.
Because you do get to know people a lot better at an event like this, don't you? And you've got those 3 days with a concentrated delegate number of audience and be able to constantly engage with them throughout.
It's always a great opportunity to catch up and to meet new people, to widen the network and to get new ideas and new perspectives. So this is, I mean, it's still with all technology, we are in a human business, and that's what it is and what it makes to have a human connection and to talk to each other and look in somebody's face. So.
Absolutely. I certainly love being here, and you definitely feel the energy in the room
exactly
because of that. Right,
absolutely.
I'm not going to stop you from getting in lunch, so I will let you get
wonderful
get over there. So thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you again. So I'm going to get to lunch as well. This has been the International Hotel Technology Forum here in Vienna, Austria, for the 20th anniversary. There's been over 500 delegates all attending to talk about digitalization and technology strategies. Thanks ever so much for those who have been able to tune in during this live broadcast. Please follow us, Travel Market Life, and look out for the latest podcasts across Google, Apple, Deezer, and Spotify. Here's a final message from us.
Photographs and Memories, produced by Haynes Marcoms as a Travel Market Life series. For more, visit travelmarket.life.
So what did I do? I had to take the curtains off the windows in the bathroom, wrap it around me, and walk down into the breakfast room.
And that's why I chose the picture, because we did everything you can do in London for 4 days. And when we asked them, okay, what has been your favorite picture and your favorite attraction in London? They said, oh, for sure, visiting the statue of Peter Pan.
When I was at that time with my fiance, I often joked with him that I like to climb the highest mountain and swim in the deepest sea, and I have to do that before we consider having kids.
And I asked the architect, are we good with fire safety? Everything is under control? I said, yeah, it's Italy. Yeah, more or less. And said, okay, let's try. And at some point, out of the blue, everything started to burn down. And this was 1 day before the opening.
What was meant to be a fun trip, the team was getting tired, sweaty. They were cursing me behind my back, and I could hear them saying, did we have to go in July to go to the Wadi? And out of the blue, it started raining.